And we're on. So this week, another interesting one. I keep saying this, I say it all the time, but to me, everyone that we bring here is interesting. We've got Alex from Beorma Leather Company. Alex and I found each other a little while ago when I embarked on a quest trying up our leather game. And it's quite an interesting story and one that's sort of connected across multiple lines that we didn't anticipate. But we'll get into that in a little while. First and foremost, Alex, welcome, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.
Excited to be here.
Mate, it's it's nice. It's nice to have you up, mate. It's you've got a really interesting story.
Thank you very much.
And you've been on quite the journey over the last few years, mate.
Yeah, over the last 18 months specifically, but yeah, it's been a wild 12 months.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, mate, I mean, what we like to do with a lot of folks is just go back to the beginning and tell me, where it all started. Like, how did you get into this? What's your background, etc.?
Yeah, so I mean, we make leather products. That's what Beorma Leather Company does. Mostly bags, wallets, belts, that sort of thing, fine leather goods. I've been doing that since I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
I know that because I made my brother a bag, the first bag I ever made, when he was 16 for his birthday. So I was 13 years old, which he's still got. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty tatty, but it still works as a bag. And it just come about from school, just playing around at school in art class. I think a teacher put a bit of leather in front of me and I kind of liked it, kind of like playing with it, kind of like making stuff out of it. And then my parents bought me some really basic leather tools and I kind of just had an affinity to it. I just really enjoyed working with the medium. Love the idea of making stuff that kind of lasted and you had a purpose to it. And I've just done it ever since. I've been doing it as a hobby since then and decided 18 months ago to give up what I was doing, which was working abroad, come home for the birth of our son and create a business. The idea was to create a relatively small business and it grew legs almost overnight to the point that we've now got a company that employs 28 people. And we make, in my opinion, the best leather goods in the world.
Mate, I'd agree. I've had the privilege of having more than one site walk, mate. The guys down there know me on my first name, and yeah, mate, it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And again, that's a whole story on its own. But again, back to the beginning, mate. Where do you go? You're from the Midlands originally?
From Birmingham, yeah, Birmingham. Left Birmingham at 21, joined the army, which is one of our crossovers, I guess.
Yep.
Joined the army, did EOD for 15 years. We've got mates who are mutual friends.
Hi, Kim.
Yeah, hello, Lee. And then I've been working abroad effectively, doing some private security bomb disposal work.
Yeah.
Me and the missus were about to have our first child, which I decided I couldn't be away for 9 months of the year.
Yeah.
And so that brought me home. And then, as I was just saying, started by building a workshop in the garden, making leather goods, the idea to take that sort of hobby passion into a business. And then I heard about the closure of a company that had 67 staff. Thought it was pretty sad that one of the last major leather companies in Warsaw was closing their doors. And so reached out to the owner and sort of initially was just, can I buy some equipment? Can I maybe take on 1 or 2 staff to kind of grow what we're doing? And then after speaking to him and speaking to his sort of head of manufacturing, just thought we need to do something about this. So sourced some financing, found a building, and pretty much within the space of, I think that was the 16th of September, by the 1st of February, we opened the doors to a brand new building, brand new company. We brought, me and my business partner brought across 27 of the staff.
Unreal.
And I've brought on 2 more since then. One of the old staff went off to start running a pub, which is, oh, bless her, she's got a great little life over there. So yes, we're up to 28 staff, 2 sort of new 19-year-olds, which we're trying to train up. And the goal really is to try and keep leatherworking in Warsaw alive. There's very, very limited amount of companies. It's been making leather. There's been leather companies in Warsaw since the 18th century, and they're sort of dwindling. There's maybe 3 left, one of them being us now. So
that was like a hub for leather making for a long time.
Yeah, if you'd gone there 10 years ago, in a square mile, there'd have been about 15 companies.
Wow.
The Queens used to get her saddles, and now the King would have had their saddles made in Warsaw. There's a big saddlery business there, but also because of that, it sort of developed into small leather goods, belts, wallets, bags,
course,
that sort of thing. So as well as all the equestrian trade, you've got like the sort of the fashion side to it now as well. But yeah, not literally. There's a handful left, and most of them are sort of 2 or 3 people, continuing a legacy from like 100 years ago. But a very much a small company now. So
unreal.
So I have 67 people go unemployed almost. You know, within the end of the year would have been horrendous. And our team's got about 700 years of experience.
That's the
between them, and just to lose that and for it to just drift away and kind of disappear would have been, as you said, an absolute sin. So that's kind of where it all came about, and we've sort of leapt there very quickly in the conversation. But when I heard about it, I just thought we've got to try and do something about this. And I love it. I want to do it. It's bigger than I ever thought it might be, what I was going to do, but it's still at the root of it, the passion of making beautiful things out of leather.
So from being a kid then, and obviously you've done your stint in the army, you've maintained your leather making throughout that time.
Yeah.
That was hobby, or did you? Yeah,
a hobby. I sort of every now and again made a bit of cash from doing stuff for the fun of doing it. But you know, it'd be sat, you know, on duty, bored in a room on my own, drawing up leather patterns, coming up with ideas.
Amazing.
Yeah, probably a little bit odd to a lot of other people in the a little bit strange. There's always raises an eyebrow. But yeah, like just always so keen. And the plan was always to eventually just retire and do this. That was sort of the dream. And the dream has now become bigger than I ever thought the dream was possible. I thought probably best it'd be me and maybe a team of 5 or 6. And it's now me and a team of almost 30 with the goal to try and grow it to, you know, back up to the 60 mark at some point in the future.
So as far as being in the area you're in, obviously there's a huge knowledge base there. You've acquired that. You developed and effectively started or restarted. You've started your own business, but just reinvigorated, you know, the industry in which you're surrounded by.
Yeah, there's a nice combination of two. So there's the team that existed before, or part of that team, that has all that experience, but my experience was different. So that was a different type of making. I was very much into like carving and molding leather and doing different things with it.
You did a lot of armor.
Did a lot of armor pieces for so my brother, who I made that bag for, owns effectively a production company.
Okay.
And so I was making pieces for him. And that's kind of where it kind of developed to. And I really enjoyed making these kind of elaborate costume pieces and highly tooled bags, like really one-off bespoke stuff. And I still have a passion for that, and I still occasionally get to do that. But we sort of brought those two things together. So while we're not doing that kind of bespoke work, I still get to make bags, which is really where my heart lies. As much as I love our belts and our wallets and our purses, our bags is where my heart lies. And getting to still do that is really the real joy of what I get from it. So yeah, we sort of merged those two things together, like the knowledge of the old company and sort of where I want to take the company and do different things with, have kind of come together. And it's been, you know, as I said earlier, it's been a year. So a year ago, pretty much today, we got the keys to the building and I was painting. It was -7 and I had COVID and I was painting the building. There was no heating in the building. It was absolutely freezing miserable. But yeah, it was literally a year ago today. So it's been a wild year. I didn't get back from Iraq until it was May that year.
Yeah.
So 6 months after getting back, this all happened.
Straight in, deep end, let's go.
Yeah, and it was a real strict timeline because the old company was closing its doors on the 31st of December. And so if it didn't happen, it wasn't going to happen. So it was a case of, if we don't do something right now and we don't do it in this short time frame, then these people don't have a job, and they will disperse and they'll find other jobs, and it probably won't be in the leather industry because there's nowhere within Walsall in the leather industry to go anymore. There aren't other companies just bringing in these people. So it would have been whatever it might, I don't know what it would have been, but
that knowledge would have just been lost.
It would have been lost and it would have been horrendous. It's a shame we couldn't bring everyone across, but you know, that would have been a huge undertaking. So yeah, it was hard up against the deadline and I said to the team that I decided to bring across, I was like, February 1st, we'll have a factory. At this point, I didn't even have a building. Hadn't even found a building, let alone offered on one. I was like, by the February 1st, you'll have a job and I'll make it happen one way or another. And somehow, I don't even know, I had an amazing group of contractors that came in and fixed the building up, but somehow we did it. And there were still people tweaking lights and doing bits and trying to fix the heating when we were open. But on the 1st of February, we opened. So, you know, basically it's 2 months after.
Mate, it's really impressive, but it's also like kind of difficult to believe. And I don't mean that when I'm calling you a liar. Like I've been down a few times, mate, and it adds credence to the story you just told there, essentially, where yes, it's 12 months to the day since you've been slapping paint on the walls, etc. But you turn up to your site, mate, and because that team has worked together for such a long time, it's such a well-gelled machine, a well-oiled machine. It just does. Everyone knows their job. Everyone's emotionally invested in what they do. Everyone's bought into what you've created. So things just happen in the sense of, you create you lay out a task brief for team. This is what we need to achieve, etc. And everyone knows their roles. Everyone knows what they're meant to do, so they get on with it. And that's awesome to see. But you have to remind yourself sometimes that it's just 12 months in, but it's because these guys have worked together for such a long time.
I'm incredibly fortunate to be able to do it. Incredibly lucky. I sort of pinch myself on a daily basis.
I'm incredibly jealous. I've had to build it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's incredible. Obviously, with that becomes risks of just taken 29 people, 28 people employed. But there's this, there's so much experience. Jackie, who's my factory supervisor, has been doing this for 45 years. There's not many things that she doesn't know about leather. And there's a very, very, very limited amount of times that I've said something and she's like, what's that? And I get to teach Jackie something, and that's like winning the lottery. And
it's a special time.
I'm like, wow, I've just told you something you didn't know about. But that's very, very, very rare. We sort of laugh about when it happens, but she's been doing that for such a long time. Max, who's sort of like her right-hand woman, has been doing what they do for a long time. So, when a job comes in, whatever that job is or whatever we decide to make, once we've created a pattern and a design and it's gone into production, I almost don't need to think about it anymore, because I know that the team's going to make it to the standard that it's going to be made to, and it's going to be incredible. So very, very, very fortunate that there's that kind of knowledge base, and I've just taken those people and put them under a new banner in a new place. And my job really is to try and just inspire and make sure that those people, or to serve really, leadership, service leadership is to make sure that they're got all the things they need to do to do the job. They're happy doing the job, and I've created a cool environment that they actually enjoy coming into, which I think we've achieved this year. I think it's pretty good. We've just closed up for Christmas. Not sure when this is going out, but we've just closed up for Christmas, and we had like a bit of a end of Christmas party, and like there's just a really good sense of like, we've got something cool here. And I think we really do. I think we've got something really nice.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Even above and beyond where they've all come from, I think there's a greater sense of community, and that's kind of what my job is. And I think I've got that from the military of like, let's create a sense of community, let's create a team that are gelled together. We're all going in the same direction. Everyone knows what direction we're going in. Like briefing the team weekly and monthly on what we're doing, where we're going. I think it creates a nice like cohesion within the team, and yes, that's where my job is. Less making so much anymore, and more kind of like, this is what we want to do. And occasionally I get to make stuff, and occasionally I'll get someone to teach me how they make a thing I've never made before, which is really wonderful. But it's just, as I keep saying, very, very lucky to have this team.
I'm glad you touched on a bit you did there around the leadership and the management piece, because this is something that we've talked about on this podcast before, that it's a massive difference between leading and managing, and inspiring a team and serving a team, and that's essentially what it is. You're there to make sure everyone has what they need to complete the task at hand, and when you do that and you empower your team, things happen.
Empowerment's the word, I think. It's like mission command, isn't it? Like mission control in the army. Give people the room to do the job that they can do and want to do, and they'll enjoy it more. If you breathe down 100%. Someone's neck all the time over stuff, then it just becomes miserable. And making people happy within the work environment makes a good team, and it makes really great products, because then everyone's putting more into it. And we have a good time, as much as you can. I think we, like you said, you've been down a few times, and I think Christmas, the place was decked out for Christmas, massive Christmas tree. Like we have cake days every last Wednesday of the month, so we all get together and I kind of give the team a heads up for what's going on. That's the most important thing to me, is to have this really cool environment that people want to be in, and will continue for the next however many years. Like I'm able to run the place.
Mate, it's awesome, man. And essentially, I mean, we found each other. You touched on it earlier, where you were talking about saddlery goods and saddlers, as it were, for royalty. So leather's been a tough nut for us to crack. And we've attempted at it over the last 12 months a couple of times to try and bring something to market. But after the second release that we had, I started to see that there were some gaps. Generally speaking, we work to around about a 2% failure rate on what we produce. By that, what do I mean? So if I was to make 100 pieces of anything, I would anticipate having issues with two items, right? And as a manufacturer, you have to operate within failure rates. It's a numbers game, it's percentages, it's this, that, and the other. But that's the same across anything you're making. You got a Ford, you got a Coca-Cola. Do you know what I mean? They'll have a 2% failure rate in the tins. Yeah. For us, we identified it on the second leather drop, where we've never really hit that 2%.
Okay.
We've always floated around about 1.6, 1.7, give or take. And that's fine. You know, if we're there, when we're mass producing or bulk producing, not mass producing, it's the wrong word. When we're making multiples of the same item, you've got to anticipate certain things. That, you know, the thread will run out of the machine halfway through a stitch pattern. Do you know what I mean? You've got to unpick it, or whatever. You drop one item on the floor and you scratch the buckle. Do you remember? Whatever it is, certain things will just slip through the net, and you anticipate this failure rate. On the second leather release, we exceeded that. I think we got up to about 2.2%, and it was like, whoa, okay, what's going on here? How is this? We've never had this much of a drama with a product before, and for me, that was like, right, okay, let's sit down and properly look at this. I'm not a leather maker. I've got very little background in leather. I entered into this kind of naively and thought, well, okay, we'll find good people and have these conversations and make things happen. And it turns out that the previous supplier we had was more or less supplying us with substandard leather goods. And listen, we live and learn. That's how it works. So I got wind that what do you call it? The royal warrant. The royal warrant holder was in Walsall. Yeah, like a couple of miles away from you. And they are the royal warrant holder for leather goods into the royal household and the household cavalry and stuff like that. So I jumped in the car, I drove down, introduced myself, explained what we're trying to do. I took some samples with me and had this conversation with some of the guys there, and basically said, guys, listen, you know, this is the situation I'm in. This is what I've experienced and I've encountered. Have you got any guidance, or can you put me on a path here? Can you help me, you know, get, pardon the pun, but grab this by the balls and sort it out? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So we had a conversation. I was there for quite a time. And ultimately that accumulated into them passing me your number. They were like, actually, mate, you know, for what you're trying to do, this may be the right guy for you to speak to. He's just round the way. His name's Alex. Give him a call. I'm like, yeah, sweet. That makes sense, mate. I'll do that. So I jumped in the car. I'm driving back up to Liverpool on the M6, which is like, for those of you listening, that's like an horrendous motorway. It's just grim.
I spent my life on that motorway.
Oh, mate, never. Like, we'll leave the M6 alone. And then I get on the phone to you, and we start having a chat and explain what I'm trying to do. And I started picking up on things like the way you would say things, like,
yeah, same, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I was chatting to him. I don't know what it was, whether it was to use mate a lot or whatever it was. And I was like, I think this guy's ex-military. And I'd heard the name. I'd heard the company name before, but I couldn't put my finger on where I'd heard it. I just knew I'd heard the name. Yeah. And I remember getting home. I was like, right, because I was driving at the same time as well. I was driving home, and quickly searched on Instagram, and I saw that a couple of mates followed you, and then I saw the Wayfinder, and I was like, this guy knows Kim. Yep. I was like, that's a small world. Yep. And I saw that Lee, Kim's brother, followed you, and I was like, I'll tell you what, I'll give Lee a call. Lee's over in Dubai. Yeah. So I messaged him, I was like, you still awake? Yeah. Rang him up, I was like, do you know Darren from Zulu Alpha? And I was like, yeah, I do. I was like, is he a prick? And he was like, no, he's a good man. I was like, good, because I really don't want to get into business with a prick. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Is he a good lad? He's like, no, he's a really good egg. He's a good lad. I was like, cool, all right, cool, from there. And then I think I followed you on Instagram from my personal page. Yes. And you immediately messaged me like, you ex-EOD?
Yeah. I saw Felix or some of your stuff. I was like, what the fuck?
This is a small world.
Mate, it's tiny. Obviously, you had that chat with Lee, and then Lee rings me. I wrongly, I can't remember which fucking way it went. I was like, Alex. He was like, yeah, he's a fucking good lad. He's a good lad. I was like, gleaming. I was like, if you trust him, I trust him. Right, we're
that
off.
was the same. That was the same chat. Yeah,
that's what it is, mate. I mean, we both hold both Hugheses in high regards, mate. And generally speaking, mate, someone says he's the biggest compliment you can have. He's a good bloke.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting more than that of anyone.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good bloke.
Yeah.
And then you're like, all right, yeah, so that's it. But like, I'm all in at this point. And that had, been facilitated in both directions by Lee, which was awesome, mate. So
small world and it was very nice. And
mate, it was awesome. And then I think barriers started coming down a bit. Do you know what
absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah.
I felt a bit more comfortable. You felt a bit more comfortable.
Makes it easier to chat.
Yeah. And it was
when
like,
you've got that kind of like someone who you trust and know well is saying, this is a good guy, you can trust him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that led into a conversation of meeting up and basically going through, where I'm at, what I'm trying to achieve, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I can't remember. Did you come up to me? I think I came to you first
came
time.
Down to us with a few bits and pieces that you had, and we had a chat about what leather you've been using. And leather is a big world. I think a lot of people just probably think leather is leather, right? But there's so many different types of leather, how it's tanned, how it's produced. Yeah. There's so many different tanneries that you can go to. If you don't know it and you haven't spent years and years and years and years sat in a small box at some far part of the world researching and reading about it, then there's a lot to take on board.
I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, and it's not surprising because there's so much there. Whether you go vegetable tan, whether you go chrome tan, you go, there's all these different brands of those. So we obviously had that chat, and I was sort of like, I showed you our leather store, which is probably my favourite part in the factory.
It's my favourite part.
And we were chatting, I think you was like, you're speaking Swahili to me, mate. I don't know what you're saying. And I'm like, cool, let me just show you these things then, because this is where I think you want to go. Yeah. And I pulled out a few bits of leather and I saw your eyes light up and I was like, I think we fit the market. I think And it kind of went from there, didn't it? And then we had a few backwards and forwards kind of making it work to get the production right.
100%.
And then, as I was saying earlier, once we kind of got the production right, it's like, cool, hand that over to Jackie and the team. And away you go. And they work their magic and create beautiful things.
Mate, absolutely. It's an interesting process because there's elements of these straps that we've made that like, some of it's been made with us, some of it's been made with you. But there's no way on God's green earth could we have produced what we have without your knowledge and your team's knowledge, mate. It's just not possible.
It's also really nice that we have that backwards and forwards, and we don't need to necessarily go into the details of that, but we don't do that with anyone else. So we take on some other work, some private label work, as in we make stuff for other brands, but for everybody else, everything is done in-house. So it's really nice that we've got that. And it works, I think, because of our backgrounds, and probably because of that trust of where it comes from, that I can send you something, you can send it back, we can do something to it, send it to you. And that backwards and forwards is actually a nice process, whereas other people I can envision it being quite difficult. Yes. But I don't think this is difficult. I think it's quite fun. And it's led to stuff like this, coming up and having a chat with you.
We've said this from day one when we both realised like who each other was and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And we've like, it would be so nice if every bit of business that we do was like this. Do you know what I mean? You just turn up and you're like, mate, listen, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I can't do that. This is why. But you're gonna get the best version of me you can. I'm not gonna fill you full of shit. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what it is. So when we're going through a process, I mean, there's been instances, mate, which fucking embarrassing. Like I fucked up on some of the things that we sent down to you, and when was it? 2 days ago.
I wasn't going to mention it. I wasn't going to mention it.
No, fuck it. Let's tell a story, mate. You know what I mean? I put my pants on one leg at a time, same as everyone else. On Friday, essentially, while we're recording this is we're on a run up now, Christmas week of December 23. So if you look back, you will see that a bunch of straps that we've made together have started to land and started to be released into the market. And we've done that in a way where everyone who had bought the strap off us previously has just received one of these out of the blue. I kind of knew we'd missed the mark on it. I didn't know where to go. We figured that out between us, and I'm massively grateful to you and your team for that. But what Z.A's done as a business now is gone, right, okay, pull the list off of everyone who's bought a Wayfinder or a Fuck 'em. We've replaced it and we've shipped it out to the customers free of charge. That's a nice little, Christmas surprise for a bunch of people. Thank you very much. In that process, obviously, there's been multiple gates that we've had to hit. Do you know what I mean? One of those is me making sure you've got the correct bits you need in order for your team to carry out or conduct the task they need to complete. So I sent a load of leather down last week, but I missed off some of the hardware. That was fucking fundamental in making a watch strap. And I paid
all of the hardware.
All of the hardware, thanks, mate. Yeah.
All of there was no
all of the
hardware.
hardware, right? All of the hardware. Okay, thanks, Al. Lee, come and get him, mate. Mate, yeah, all of the hardware. I was in a rush, mate. It's like I got my missus hounding me about getting Christmas presents sorted for the kids. I'm trying to conduct work stews with my team and make sure everyone's fed and watered and appreciated, for the
no
work. That's
judgment. I was just highlighting
no,
it
it's
as well.
fine, mate. I'm just trying to pull myself out of my shit, mate, to my cousins, to my listeners here. But yeah, essentially, mate, I dropped one. I paid a fortune to get this overnight to you.
And to put it into context as well, there was a relatively short timeline because you'd messaged me on the Friday to say, can you do these now before Christmas? And I was like, I've just told everyone in the factory that they're going to have 3 extra days holiday. Yeah. I'm going to close lunchtime on Tuesday. So I was like, yes, I can do it, but there's a short turnaround time. Like, you need to get the bits I need to me by Monday morning so I can get everything done for you. Yeah. There's not the biggest order in the world, so we can probably get it done in the 2 days we've got.
It was a dozen or so pieces.
So everything turned up on my doorstep on Saturday, apart from the hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, put this into context. We'd already done the big bit of this. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The lion's share of this was done. This was odds and sods. And what happened, we've been caught out because, generally speaking, when people order stuff off us, sometimes there's an email that comes in 24 hours later. I've ordered a 20. I meant to order a 22. Or I've picked up a steel. I wanted a black. Is there any way you can change it? And we try and accommodate that where we can. But of course, 6 months later, when we're pulling a list off the website, sometimes things just slip through the net that we didn't anticipate. So we discovered that late in the day. So anyway, you bent over backwards to get the bits up to me I needed, to do the stuff my end. Then I'm sending you down the bits you need, and I completely forgot to put the hardware in. So the only way we can make this work, again, because we've got commitments and everything else, to take in. So I had to get up. I think it was like, I can't remember what time it was, 5 in the morning, jump in a car, head down to Birmingham, Warsaw, come in to see you guys and like hand deliver like the smallest package ever, like an envelope of things. Do you know what I mean? I hadn't had a coffee. I couldn't get the kettle on in the morning. We were dog sitting a friend's dog. She was a bit skittish, so I didn't want to put the kettle on in the house in case the dog kicked off. I woke my kids up, this, that, and the other. So I turned up to you like a bag of smashed craps.
Yeah, he didn't look most awake.
Hair like a scarecrow. It was awful. And I just sort of handed you these pieces off, and then jumped back up, on the line. One of them, yeah, one of them, yeah. In the car, and came back. And again, you've turned it around and made things happen, and you've rocked up this morning, mate. We've had a nice little brekkie around the corner, and you've brought up the extra bit, so they're in the process of the pipeline now, actually.
Get them over to before Christmas, which is nice.
Exactly. I think the guys are busting that out right now. But yeah, I mean that's a bit of an overview or an insight, mate, into that process and that journey that we just so happened to stumble across each other.
Yeah, I'm grateful. It was Abbey England, wasn't it? You spoke to Abbey England.
Yeah.
Are like the guys. If you're in this industry, they do all the hardware really for the leather industry, all like the horse tack hardware, like buckles and D-rings and all that sort of stuff. So I spoke to them afterwards. Actually, I was like, "Thank you for mentioning us." But nice little bit of serendipity, I guess, that you happen to need somebody, and then it all happens to be people that we know and all the links, and it's been fun. It's been a fun journey.
Mate, I've enjoyed it massively, and again, I'm massively grateful to you guys for taking ownership really over.
And we don't do watch straps. That's not something that we've done. And we had that conversation earlier. It's like this isn't something that we do. Yeah. I have some amazingly talented people, but we don't necessarily do watch straps. Which is nice because again, it means we're doing something for you that we don't do ourselves.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, there was an honest conversation earlier about that. But I'm really glad we did. I'm really glad it wasn't the case. We don't do this. Sorry, mate. Like you'll have to find someone else because that would have been a real shame.
Mate, it's turned into, and I think we've spawned a friendship out of it as well, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's nice.
Good. It's been pleasant.
Nice, mate. I've enjoyed it. I really have, and it's onwards and upwards. I mean, we've got a lot of other stuff coming up, in the new year, as it were, or to come. And in fairness to you, mate, mate, you've more or less like held my hand and given me like a bit of a crash course in leather, and how things work, and
that's cool.
I understand big words now and stuff like that.
Yeah, I understand the difference between veg tan and that horrible other stuff. And,
exactly.
What tanneries we should be talking about, and
wax pull up, and
all that sort of good stuff.
It's been an education, mate, but it's awesome to see, and something I've noticed, mate, going through that path and that journey is the skill set in your team. How I've come down, and in fairness to you, mate, you brought me onto the shop floor and said, right, this is Jackie, this is Ian, these are the guys, and everyone's not only like happy to be there, but happy to work with you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the sense of, right, mate, what are you trying to achieve here? Like, tell me what you want, what the end result is, and I'll tell you how we get there. And everyone sort of chips in and adds their bit, and you come up with some like gleaming ideas, some gleaming.
That's probably why, though, isn't it? Is like
100%.
allowing everyone to have their stuff. Yeah. And people come to me in the day and like, I've had this idea, like we should make these, and sometimes they're a little bit out there, and show me, and we'll see where it goes. And people come with some amazing ideas, like Doreen, who plats our belts, one of our belt players, has been doing it for 45 years. I'd be absolutely stupid to not listen to her when she comes up with an idea of something to do, because she's got way more experience in leather in general, but specifically in making plaited belts. Hand plats these belts. Seen it. I mean, you've seen it. It's like artistry. Doesn't even look at what she does anymore. She's just chatting away, plaiting this like beautifully plaited belt. So if people come to me with ideas, like I'd be absolutely stupid to not listen to their ideas. And again, when I say I want to do this to Jackie or Max and Joe, and they're sort of the main people who make my patterns and bring things to life before they go into bulk production, and they say I don't think we should be doing that way, again, I'd be stupid to be like, no, we're doing it this way, because that's like, well, okay, you show me how you think we should do it. And I think you get a better product and a better end result of that, and you certainly get a better team out of that, because everyone feels heard, and that's important to me, as well as getting these incredible products, is also to give people a place where they want to be, and they feel they're allowed to be creative and use that skill set. Again, mission command, like give that person the job that they're prepared to do better than I am. Go and do it, and show me what amazing thing you can come up with. And we've had some amazing stuff come out of that, just by saying, go and play. Like, you want to do that? Cool, show me. Like, and maybe we'll tweak it here or there, but let's do it and see where it comes out. And we've got some absolutely stunning stuff that's come out of that. So we don't employ intelligent people, mate, to tell them what to do. Exactly. It does make sense. Exactly. You know what I mean? We our job or our role in these businesses is facilitated. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're there to do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we'll have an overall plan. Do you know what I mean? Right, this is what we need to achieve. But go to the team, guys. Listen, this is what we've got to achieve, and this is by why. Tell me how we're going to get there. Everyone buys into that. That's it. Everyone feels involved. Everyone's got emotional investment in what they're doing. You've been making bags for 45 years. Fuck, I might tell you what to do. Yeah, I might have an idea, but if you've got a better idea, then let's put them together and let's here's a sketch of what I want to create. And that's what tends to happen. They're great days. Like, I'll sketch something up. Yeah. I want to make something along these lines. Yeah. Give it to Jackie, who then sort of sense checks it and says, that ain't going to work. You can't turn that 2D drawing into a product. That doesn't happen so much because I've obviously got a background with leather stuff, but she might say, well, I think we should do it this way, or move this. And it ultimately always comes out better. So you guys now, you've got like a solid portfolio of goods that you guys make. You've touched on the plaited belts. You've touched on your passion, which is the bags. Yeah. The guys are making some absolutely incredible purses and wallets and stuff as well. What's your main focus? I mean, market-wise, like where do you aim your business? Are you just looking online sales? Are you retailers? Is it UK, global? Yeah, well, global. So we sell a lot to Japan. There's a huge market for British or English handmade leather goods in Japan. So we sell a lot to Japan. To a distributor who then distributes it across Japan. And then the goal really, we're a year old. Yeah. So the goal is to grow an e-commerce platform. We've got a website, that's all sort of taken care of. And now the goal is to grow that and to sort of to just bring people in to see how good the product is, because at the moment we're quite small in terms of our reach. And then the sort of very loose 5-year plan, which is quite literally written on a napkin, was to, by the end of year 5 is to have a couple of shops, one in Tokyo, one in London. Hopefully that'll happen a bit earlier. We've got ideas about how to start doing that earlier. And then also grow this kind of business to business part of the business, which is really enjoyable. As much as it's really exciting to have your own product and your own brand, which I absolutely love. That's probably my favorite part of the business. But the business to business conversations you have, we make belts and small leather goods for some I won't mention them, but quite high end fashion houses.
Some very high-end fashion houses.
Yeah. So we make their leather goods for them because there's not very many people left, as I've sort of mentioned already, making leather goods in the UK. So if you want to have something made from leather in England, there's very few people you could go and knock on their door and say, could you make this for us? Certainly not with the size of the team that we have, that we can actually turn stuff around on a larger scale. So it's to grow that side of the business and then to grow the e-commerce platform and eventually have an actual retail outlet shop where you can come. Because I think the beauty of our goods, while they look good on a screen, what you don't get is the feel and the smell of them. And we use, that one to sound like I'm PRing too much. Like we use the best leathers in the world. Like we've got 3 tanneries that we use effectively. One is in Italy, which we've talked about and we've done for the straps. It's incredible. It's my favorite leather. It's just absolutely beautiful. We use one that's the oldest tannery in Europe. It's down in Devon. And like literally the bark from the trees in Devon is what's used to tan. That's the tanning that's used in the lime pits have been there.
That's like British.
Like it was a tannery in the Roman times. Like it's changed a little bit since then. We haven't changed in about 200 years. It's a death trap. But it's incredible. It's just the most incredible rundown place I've ever been. Each piece of leather takes, and I could waffle on about this all day, but each piece of leather takes 12 months to tan. So the cows come from
Why is that?
Devon
Why does it take so long to tan leather?
So there's different ways to tan leather. There's the 2 main ways is vegetable tanning, which basically means you're using natural vegetable materials. It's not it's not vegetarian leather, which some people get confused with. You're just using natural materials. So bakers, who's the tannery I'm talking about, they use oak bark to tan their leather. And you get this very specific smell.
So it's like actual bark off an oak tree.
They take the bark off the trees and they break it down. They do with a few of the bits in there, but basically it's all natural tannins. And then you can chrome tan leather. And the difference effectively is chrome tan is chemically based. So you're basically pushing chemicals into the leather, which is pretty shit for the planet. And it's not great for the leather. So the leather isn't as strong and isn't as good. The reason bakers take 12 months is they don't heat the leather. We can get a bit technical now, but effectively if you warm the materials up when you're doing the leather, you open up the pores and therefore the pores of the leather take the tannins on faster. But what that does is it makes the leather a bit weaker. So because you're opening the pores, you're fundamentally changing the structure of the leather. Bakers don't do that. They cold tan everything. So it takes a lot longer, but you get a much better product at the end of it. You get this much harder wearing product. Again, because of the oak bark, it smells leather smells amazing. Proper leather smells amazing, but Bakers has this very, very unique smell to it. You get this really like firm but supple, which doesn't make sense when you say it that way, but you picked it up for the first time. You're like, this is like hard, it's like wood. And then when we split it down to the weight that we use, it becomes really beautifully soft and very, very unique. So incredible tannery. So we use those guys, and we use a set of guys who are based over in Worcester as our finishers who make all our bridal leather. So bridal leather is what you would have traditionally made horse gear out of. We make leather goods out of it, small leather goods out of it, and some belts. So 2 UK-based companies and 1 company in Italy. And we're very, very, very specific of who we buy from because one, of where the leather is sourced and how it's sourced, sustainability, but also the quality of it. And we only use that very, very, very best quality leather. And we reject quite a bit, or we'll have. And we've mentioned this sort of offline, that some of our leather for the back of a wallet, there's only, if you take an entire hide of leather, I'll only probably get 40% of that leather I could cut the back of a wallet out of because it has to be so beautiful and so just a perfect part of the leather. There could be no scratches, there could be no growth from the animal being older and sort of the growth marks in the neck, the flea bites, anything like that has to be avoided. So we're very, very picky about what we use, and so we use the best quality leather on the planet. I think we have the best leather workers on the planet, and so we have a pretty amazing product. So the question was what we're doing, and I've waffled on a bit, but
no, it's interesting, mate.
Is business to business is exciting, and I enjoy having that conversation with people, but I am very, very picky with who we deal with because I don't want to deal with dickheads is the simple answer. I don't want the headache of dealing with dickheads, and I don't want my team being put under pressure by people who aren't fun or enjoyable to work with to deliver something that they don't want to deliver. So I'm excited to grow that side of the business, but I'm also quite wary of who we take on as customers, because hence the conversation with Lee is he a prick? Is he a prick? Because if he is, I don't really want the business.
No.
And I'm in a fortunate position we can do that. But also it's important for me to like Bev, my sales administrator, if you've met, and Alison, my purchasing officer, it's important to me to support and protect them from dealing with people who aren't particularly, and in the past they have with very, very big fashion houses who even mentioning their name, I can see Ben's face just drop. And so, I'm very protective over who we do business with for that reason.
It's important, mate. I mean, how we protect our staff is key, because without them, the wheel stop turning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, again, as an independent business, you've got the right to deal with whoever the fuck you want to deal with, in any fashion you want to deal with them. And we can handpick and figure out the right people that we want to deal with. I mean, one of the original conversations me and you had, mate, was based on a number of things around business payment terms and stuff like that. And I was like, mate, listen, I'm not really comfortable with this because I've been stung in the past. You met me in the middle. Now, fucking hell.
It just works, doesn't it?
It just works.
You tend to pay me before you need to.
Yeah, you shot at me last time. You paid me too soon. Fucking hell, okay, mate.
Yeah, that wasn't even an invoice and you've paid it.
I know.
But yeah, and that's also, I've done that, and I've been told off by Alison, who's my purchasing officer in the past. She's like, you've paid something that's not an invoice, it's just a sales order.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what the difference was. My background is the military. I'm like, I still don't really know what the difference is. So now she just tells me when I'm supposed to pay stuff. But again, I think you just create a relationship with people, and if there's trust, you can just make it work.
Yeah, 100%.
I think we've had issues in the past, and I'm sure you have, where people haven't paid on time for stuff or tried to get up, and I'm just not interested in it. Those people can find someone else to make their stuff. And I think you quickly get to know the people you're working with, and then
100%.
And you can just become relaxed about it, because
mate, it's interesting, because then what you start to do is build an environment or a community of people, do you know what I mean, that you don't mind introducing to each other. Do you know what I mean? And then that opens up opportunity greater than what was originally there.
Yeah.
So you're in a situation where you're like, right, okay, I know this guy's a good egg. I know this guy's a good egg. I think theoretically there could be some synergy between them. Let's open this up and have this, three-way conversation, as it were.
Yeah.
Where, we can possibly help everyone out.
Absolutely.
But then that's a predetermined group of individuals, and yeah, mate, it's awesome. And
business it's not difficult. It's not over. Like, everyone should benefit. Otherwise, what's the point? Like, everybody should be winning. Like, so if we're doing, like, just use this for example, you come to me for some watch straps. I should be making you straps for a price that's affordable for you to then do with what you need to do on. My suppliers need to be making money from me buying leather from them. And so we all need to win. And then the customer needs to get a product that's incredible, that they're going to enjoy and have for the next 20 years. And if that's not, if any of those sort of legs fall off the chair, it's unviable. And it shouldn't be the way that business is done. People shouldn't be trying to screw each other over to make a little bit of extra money. We should just be accepting that everybody in that circle should be winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody, customer, supplier, business partner, everybody should be winning. And if you do that, it just works. And it's way more pleasant.
Makes it fun again. Do you know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
And something I've banged on about, mate, since, and why I started this was, most people only ever get to see the end result. Do you know what I mean? Like the goods that have been produced, or, and in many instances, that's quite sterile unless you bought into the brand or you understand the history behind it, whatever it is. You've got product A and product B, and here we go. Fantastic. Like, I get it. You can look at it, you can smell it, you can taste it, you scratch it, sniff it, whatever it is. You know what it is, you can feel it. But you don't emotionally invest in that product in the same way as you do when you understand the brand, the person behind it, or the people behind it, the team behind it, the methodology, the ethos, this, that, and the other. And certainly in the watch industry, mate, it's almost sterile in many senses, because the pieces do the talking. For me, the most interesting part are the people. You know what I mean? Their stories, and like, how do you get into this, mate? Like, how did this start? How do you go from making your brother being a kid, here's a satchel, you know, and then a few years later you're building like full on Gladiator. Do you know what I mean? Maximus Decimus Meridius tunics. Do you know what I mean? Which is the nuts journey, but that's the interesting bit.
I think so. Yeah,
so interesting.
Yeah,
and even spending time with your team, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I turn up now, and like Ian will clock me first because he's right.
Yeah,
hello, mate. You're right. Yeah, come in. Yeah. And relationships, even you build them with each other, but also with teams. Do you know what I mean? And it just makes life so much easier. And like, if I ring you up, Ben, like, and I've dropped one like I usually do you know what I mean? And then you go to Ian, and you're like, Ian, Darren's been on the phone, mate. Is it? And he's like, oh, fuck, all right, yeah, no problem.
Absolutely.
He's a good lad. Do you know what I mean? Mate, that's what it's about.
Of course it is.
And that's all we're trying to fucking achieve, really.
Absolutely.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick. Enjoy what you do, and look after the people that you know that are around you, that you can look after.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
And I've sort of mentioned on it before, but like the Warsaw community as a whole, like I genuinely want Beorma to become a community-wide thing. We brought a guy and a girl in now that we're training up, and I'm really keen to continue doing it because I think it just the sense of achievement from growing the team is more than anything really. The sense of achievement from impacting. And I feel maybe this is a bit delusions of grandeur even mention it, but I'm cringing and wiping my face. But like the idea of positively impacting a community, Warsaw was pretty much decimated when all of like the manufacturing in the UK disappeared, and it disappeared about 2 decades ago. We used to have 10 million jobs in manufacturing, and we lost 2 million almost within a year. As I mentioned before, within a mile radius, there would have been 10, 15 companies making stuff out of leather. It just doesn't exist anymore. So if we can, as a business, have a positive impact on that community and grow and support families and open more jobs up, that's my main drive for the company. That genuinely is what I get a kick out of now. I don't get to make stuff as much as I did before, or maybe even as I would like. I still get to make a few custom pieces now and again. But if we can, as a company, positively impact Warsaw, which I think sounds like a massive job, but it's not necessarily. It's just have a company, grow the company, bring in new staff, train up younger people so that in 45 years' time, they're still doing this incredible production and can train up somebody new. That's the drive. That's the drive for Beorma. And I think that's an exciting and it has value to driving it. And that's the reason to get out of bed every day.
Right, 100%. And like you're saying there and you're feeling uncomfortable saying it, but don't, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's a big task, absolutely. But how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. Yeah. It's that simple. Do you know what I mean? You've already started on that path. You've already started on that journey. A benefit community comes in lots of ways. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could be out, painting fences and, stroking puppies and, that sort of stuff. But genuinely, mate, Warsaw's, for a couple of 100 years now, has been known and well known for fine leather goods and manufacturing of leather products. Doing what you're doing in the sense of even just taking on these 2 staff recently, do you know what I mean? To try and ensure that skill set lives on. That is an impact that's going to have a knock-on effect for the next 40, 50 years.
Yeah, hopefully.
Do you know? Like,
hopefully. I think so, yeah, but also hopefully,
if you can get them through that process, mate, to their competent leather maker, I mean, that skill set, if they stay in that industry, that will be passed on in 40 years' time. Yeah, absolutely. To the next generation that are coming in. Like you've got the old and bold within your team now who are sharing their knowledge and everything else. Do you know what I mean? And the sort of cycle continues. So, mate, it's awesome. It's awesome to see. I'm all for manufacturing in Britain and making stuff very similar to you, mate. We've been on a very similar path. A little workshop in the garden that's turned into a team, and it's turned into business to business stuff and customer facing and everything else. And again, one of the most fulfilling elements of it for me is the building the community around what we've done, but also developing that knowledge within our business and within the team, and seeing people learn and develop and grow, and it's fucking awesome. Yeah,
it's the best thing you can do is pass on that knowledge.
100%.
Like we brought in one of the lads, Chad, knocked on the door one day. Never seen anyone so nervous in my entire life. I'd just finished college doing leather work. Is there any chance there's a job going? And he couldn't have timed it better, to be honest. I just decided we needed to bring someone in to work on our belts. And he came in. I was like, yeah, come in, you train under Ian. It didn't necessarily work out in that space. And I could see he wasn't particularly enjoying it. Not because he wasn't working hard. I could just sense that there was like, you're not getting a lot out of this. So I had a chat with him. He's like, I really would just like to learn how to plait. I was like, cool, come with me. Stood him next to door in. The guy is like just shone, like come into his own. Picked up so we have various different styles of plaiting belts. There's so many ways to plait leather. We do about 5 different styles, and he quite happily now, when Doreen's not in, just plaits away.
Crack on.
And I can't tell the difference between the two.
Unbelievable.
He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible.
So is that still getting taught then, like leatherwork at college?
So you can go to college and learn it, but it's not. Okay. It's not what it would have been 20 years ago,
right?
Or 30 years ago. Like a lot of my team went to leather college after leaving school, and basically, 16, 17, 18, got into leather industry and have been in it since then. So you can go and kind of get a taster. And so Chad sort of showed me what I did. And I was like, okay, so you've got an interest in, which is the big thing for me. I don't really care what your skill set is. If you've got an interest, and you're passionate about it, then we'll teach you the skills.
You can
like,
develop
come here
that,
and we'll
yeah.
develop that.
Yeah,
Caprice came in, same, had been on the same course. She'd obviously heard that I'd employed
EB straight away.
Chad.
Yeah.
She rang me up, and we didn't have a role at the time. And a few weeks later, maybe a month later, we could really do it under the sewing machinist. I know, in fact, she's never touched a sewing machine. I was like, but if you're willing, if you're interested, come in and I'll teach you. Not me, because I'll have the team teach you. I've got 3 incredibly talented machinists. And I was like, you'll just learn with them and you'll sit with them for as long as it takes until you're good enough. Like, there's no pressure. Like, you'll just come in and you'll spend every day just playing around with leather and a sewing machine until you are absolutely competent in using it, and then we'll put you into production. And again, she's just shone. She's come in and she doesn't do everything just yet, but I think it's years before she does everything. Of course, because this is a serious, like Kerry and Sue and Dory, my 3 machinists, have been doing it for like 30, 40 years.
Of course, yeah.
But like, she's doing a lot of our belts already. She's absolutely incredible. And it sounds easier than what it is. And I've had a go, and I've never really used sewing machines. I always hand sew everything before. And sort of Kerry's given me a go, and I'm like, it looks, when you see people do it online or whatever else, they've obviously been doing it for years, it looks very, very, it's really not easy.
It looks
the thing runs away from you. And obviously you come in and seen Kerry do some stuff. It's just incredible to have 2 19-year-olds come in and just show that much interest and just tirelessly work until they've mastered a skill. And it's awesome. And like I said, hopefully in 10, 20 years time, they'll take someone on as an understudy and they'll teach them how to do that. And it will just continue and continue and continue. And yeah, that's the dream anyway.
Mate, awesome. Well, Al, I wish you every success in the world, mate. I mean, it sounds like I'm saying goodbye to you. I'm not. Like, we're going to be working together closely moving forward, mate. And we've already got some bits and bobs we've been chatting about. But essentially, mate, I want to take this opportunity to thank you, do you know what I mean, for taking a risk and working with us and trying to pull me out of the shit a little bit. Which mate, it's been awesome, and it's been an education which I thoroughly enjoyed. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed. But obviously, mate, you've got your own thing going on. You've got your own business and you know, your own wares. Where can people find you?
Social media, Beorma Leather Company, website, beormaleathercompany.com.co.uk.
That's
Beorma. I always forget that it's an odd word. Beorma Leather Company. You'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, and our website. If you want small leather goods, beautiful, handmade in England. Nothing's outsourced. Everything's done in our factory by our incredible team. Check it out. Give us a like.
Absolutely, guys. Please head over. I can't sing Alex and the team's praises highly enough. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, mate.
Not general, mate. Do you know what I mean? I'm not blowing smoke for blowing smoke's sake. The standard of stuff you're creating there is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And you know, long may it last, long may it continue. And please, guys, head over, support him, get behind him. You know, give him as much love as you've given me over the years, and you know, we'll continue to innovate and create and
we've got some cool stuff in the pipeline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our bags, like we talked about bags, our bags aren't on the website yet. We've been developing them, and it's been amazing. And probably early next year we'll be dropping a range of what I think are just stunning bags in some incredibly beautiful leather. So yeah,
you're here first.
Excited to drop them next year and show what we've been up to.
Hey, I can't wait. I'm looking forward to one of those myself. Guys, until next time, thank you very much.